Ladies and gentlemen, do not be alarmed. A cynical Brit has been allowed on the air with a microphone. You will listen, or the kitten we have hostage will be forced to fight a giant badger. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a BluePlz. Enjoy. Wow.
Radio.
The world knew him mostly as John Bain, the Cynical Brit, known for his YouTube content. But what you are listening to here is the very first episode of a podcast called BluePlz. The first episode aired live on May the 23rd, 2005, and I was there when it happened. It was a show about the massive multiplayer online game World of Warcraft, hosted by a very angry British guy calling himself TotalBiscuit.
Yes, indeed, folks. You are listening to the debut pilot, and this may probably the last BluePlz. Absolutely. This is World of Warcraft Radio. My name is TotalBiscuit, and I have to fill 2 hours with talk and general drivel. That'll be a laugh. Anyway.
Most of you know me for my Fire Emblem content, but what a lot of you may not know is that I used to play World of Warcraft as a teenager, and not just a little bit. For a large majority of my late teenage years, World of Warcraft, or WoW as we most commonly called it, was my life. It's easy to look back at one's teenage years with rose-tinted glasses and remember the glories of a simpler time, but the truth is that during these times, I was personally struggling with a massive depression. I was dropping out of school, I was isolating myself from my friends, my parents were frustrated and didn't know what to do, and I just remember being very tired, angry, and upset, and all I really wanted was to be left alone. World of Warcraft was one of the few things that mattered in my life, the one thing that brought me some manner of joy throughout those dark times. But even the game itself could get a little lonely, despite the millions of players inhabiting it. So when a friend of mine linked me this show called BluePlz on WoW Radio, I was instantly hooked. It was my first encounter with an internet personality talking about a topic I was interested in. Radio to me at this point was just something that my parents or grandparents listened to, but WoW Radio was something completely different, and I absolutely loved it.
I suggest that I start by introducing myself to the audience at home, whoever you may be. Around the world, we've got listeners from Europe, listeners from America, and all those other crazy moon countries in between. My name's TotalBiscuit. Yeah, I think I mentioned that before.
Every Friday, TotalBiscuit would air a new episode of BluePlz, and these podcasts would become the highlight of my week. They gave me something to look forward to, a reason to get through the difficult days. Every Friday, I would rush home from school, I'd pick up a bag of chips and a bottle of soda, and I would always tune in for the musical pre-show starting an hour before. After the podcast was over, I'd often listen to it again multiple times over the weekend.
I don't know what it is about World of Warcraft. There's something about it. I think the art style, the art style's great. The style of the world is very well thought out.
It may sound silly, but for a time, that podcast about a video game hosted by an angry British guy was one of the only things that made me smile. Just knowing that another show would air next Friday was sometimes enough to get me out of bed in the morning. John Bain has now passed away due to cancer after many years of hard struggle. While I honestly didn't watch much of his YouTube content in his later days, I have for years been checking in on his communities and Twitter at least once a week just to follow his battle against the cancer, hoping for good news. Because looking back, he was definitely one of the people that not only got me through one of my hardest times in my life, but also one of the people that inspired me to start making content online. The way I open up nearly all of my videos is very much a homage to TotalBiscuit, and it will continue to be so for as long as I keep doing this.
Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Magnus, and I welcome you guys to another...
Thank you, TotalBiscuit, for everything you did for me, and everything you did for the world. You will be dearly missed. Rest in peace.
can do a limited number of videos less than I used to be able to do. I can work less than I used to be able to do. I can play less than I used to be able to do. So let's make sure that time counts for something. And a lot of it is also, you assume at this age you've got, well, I've got 50, 60 years with the family. What if you didn't? Well, you know, you don't know how long you've got. So, you know, made me want to try and be a better dad. There's no doubt about that, you know. I wanted to connect more with my stepson than I have, and I've been doing that. I wanted to connect more with my wife, make sure that we get a good, we get a good run out of it. Sometimes there might be something outside of my control that, you know, maybe fighting isn't enough. Maybe that's just not enough to keep going. But if that's the case, then you've got to make sure that you spend the time you've got in the best way you can.